Welcome to the Date Forever podcast. Keep your relationship fueled up with strategies discovered by couples and experts. Because at Fuel Collective, we believe better relationships will equal a better world. You are about to discover specific insights and tools that cost little or nothing to implement to help you date forever. And now, here are your hosts, a couple who always have a half-packed suitcase and a date night in the calendar, Sammy and Nathan Yeager.
Hello and welcome to Date Forever. In this week's episode, we're chatting about the important conversations to have around setting and achieving your financial goals as a team, shifting your beliefs about money and what is possible, and how to collaborate when one person is a spender and one person's a saver. But before we get into that, Sammy, what's been fueling you up this week?
Ooh, lockdown week, another one done.
Yeah.
Well, this week we had a couple of dates.
We did. They were really nice.
Yeah, we had a little date on Friday night. We had another date on Saturday night.
Yeah.
We had a date on Sunday.
We did. We travelled all around Europe, actually, because Friday night we had champagne and pate and a few French-inspired dishes. And then Saturday we travelled to Spain. Yes. We actually went to our local deli and stocked up on all the goodies. So we had a bunch of tapas. Yeah,
massive big spread of tapas. And then Sunday we did Greek moussaka from scratch.
Yeah, which was really it was 1,000 steps, but
it was really nice. And we took the weekend off. We didn't work.
No, we didn't do anything really.
Yeah, it was really nice. We both have our day gigs. We both have other hobbies and interests and stuff, but we often podcast on the weekend, or we do things for Fuel Collective on the weekend. And this past weekend, we did none of that.
No, we did nothing. We had plans to do stuff, but we didn't do it.
Yeah, we had the weekend off. It was super nice.
It was really nice.
So I think that's what fueled me up the most, was taking an actual recharge break and creating a bit more intentional, fun times together. We had so much fun on Saturday night streaming Hot Dub. One of our favorite DJs went live on Twitch. So cool. We actually had fun.
We did have fun.
Yeah.
And I think the weekend always feels longer, or it does for me anyway, when we do something on a Friday night. And so I think having a bit of a date on Friday night, popping some champagne and
eased in.
Yeah. And it did feel like a proper weekend, like you said, which was really nice.
Yeah. So, but was that your fuel up too?
Yeah, that was my fuel up too. Yeah.
All right. We're fueled up.
Our triple date weekend.
Fueled up, loved up.
That's it. Now let's introduce this week's guest.
Today we're welcoming Kylie and Anthony Sultana. Kylie is a business development manager but prefers to be called the organizational queen and style aficionado. Kylie's days are filled with fun stuff, working on development courses, creating social media posts, chatting to clients to see how their goals are tracking, and contributing to media about the importance of getting intimate with numbers. Having come from an upbringing in government-funded housing in Sydney's western suburbs, she's an advocate for having a positive mindset and breaking the cycle of being poor. Together with Anthony, they have personally seen the transformation that can happen when you set common goals with your partner. Anthony is a certified financial planner, lover of numbers, and scuba enthusiast. While Kylie enjoys being a social butterfly of the business, Anthony loves getting down and dirty with the numbers. Over the span of the last 20 years, he's helped countless clients achieve the retirement that they not only dream of, but deserve. Welcome to the show, you two.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. What an awesome intro. Thank you.
Yeah, we're stoked to have you here.
Yeah.
Hey, so kind of the conversation that we want to have today is sort of two-pronged. We want to talk about what you do in your business and how you help couples, but we also want to know a little bit about yourselves and your relationship and what you do to keep it fueled up. So maybe we start with your expertise, your money genius. How did you both get into numbers?
Okay, well, that's a really, it's an interesting story. So we actually met at work. So we met probably over 25 years ago. We were both working at HSBC. So I was working in the stockbroking. So I had been working in that industry, stockbroking, since I was about 15 or 16, I think. Eventually ended up at HSBC, and that's where Anthony was. That's where we met.
We
fell in love.
Because I was working in the accounting area, then I moved into stockbroking. worked in the front office where Kylie was in the back office. So we're opposite ends of the offices. And, we've just seen each other through the years. But
yeah, I actually hunted him down. So he was a good little Catholic boy and I was a little bit of a party girl. So
sounds like our dynamic, except replace Catholic with Lutheran.
So he used to walk past our part of the office and the guys that I used to work with would be like, there he goes, chase him. So I used to follow him out to the kitchen and do all of the hair flicking and all the funny little flirty things. And it took him a long time to catch on to it. But
the office appropriate flirting.
Highly inappropriate flirting that he just wasn't catching on to. But eventually it worked. So, here we are.
So what your bio didn't say is that together your business is Creo Wealth?
It is, yes.
So tell us a little bit about what problems do you solve and who do you help?
Well, Creo is an Italian word for create. So we would like to create wealth. So that's where the name came about. So I've been advising for 20 odd years, helping people who are looking at retiring or about to retire, and all of a sudden they've come up with large sums of money they've never dealt with before. And their biggest concern is how we're going to survive with no paycheck coming week to week. Of course, money, we don't know what to do with it. So I'll put in different strategies, find out what their goals are. Ask them, what is it you want to achieve? Do you want to go on holidays, help the children, relocate? All these questions we ask. And a lot of people, we just get these blank looks at us all the time, thinking, am I not speaking to you in English or what? And find out that they haven't thought about it. And that's one of the biggest things we find is people then haven't thought about things. But as time goes by, we're finding that people are becoming more educated now. But still, there's a big gap which we need to fill in.
Yeah, so, traditionally the business has been about helping the older clients when they're approaching retirement, so like the 50, 55 plus. And we started to notice that with a lot of our older clients, they were coming in and seeing us and you could just see the body language with the older clients, the husband and wife, and they just were talking about two different things. He was talking about maybe wanting to move to Queensland and she just wanted to keep working. And so you could see that there was a big argument going to happen when they got home, and we realised that they'd never talked about money, they'd never discussed goals, they never talked about what they wanted to achieve over the years or what they wanted to do in retirement. So we're starting to change the age group that we target now because we want to stop that. We want people to have long, successful marriages and we want them to start the money conversations earlier. So now it's more about trying to capture the 30 plus market where couples are established, but they just don't know how to start conversations or to get on the same page. So we kind of try and look at different money personalities and different money stories as well. So same as us. I grew up in government housing and I actually grew up with my aunt. I was an unwanted child and was given to my aunt at birth. So I kind of grew up around that environment of sort of hopeless, you're never going to achieve anything, there's no point having any money because that's just for people that are up themselves, so we kind of looked at people that had money as an us and them, whereas Anthony came from a hardworking immigrant Maltese family that...
Yeah, so we've always been taught to what you earn, you've got to put some money away in case you need it for a rainy day and learn how to save. So we used to have those Commonwealth Bank money boxes where we put money in and we started seeing money going up and thought, great, this is... we've got some money to spend for something that we dreamed about getting and achieving it. So it just pays off that, if you put money away and think about it, the dreams can become reality. So that's a good thing about it. But one of the things I notice with clients is there's always a denominator in the relationship, and it's always generally the male because they've always worked where the females have always looked up the family. And the problem is when the male passes away, generally always happens, the wives generally think, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. They've lived in a total darkness. And I don't think it's right. I think people should be aware. They should know equally what's going on in their family financially so they won't be stuck.
Yeah, a friend of mine is going through this at the moment where she's realised how little her mum knows about their finances, about superannuation, about just even the assets that they own. And she's like, Mum, you've got to sort this out, while Dad's still here, because at some point he won't be. And you got this big skills gap because she's always just it's not been her role in the family. She's had other roles and responsibilities.
Yeah.
And not to take anything away from those, but yeah, for my girlfriend who's like my age, it's really like startling that she's like, oh my gosh, there's this big gap of things that somehow I know them, but mum has no idea.
Yeah, and I think too with that, like the generation that her mum's probably from, is that the women just stayed at home and had the kids, where it's so different now. Like women are finding their voices and it's not like that anymore. It's all about equality. So, yeah, I mean, we did have those kind of issues at the start. Then that was purely because of my upbringing. I just didn't want to know anything. And because he was so good with the figures and the numbers, I would just be like, he would try and show me, like it was like, hey, I need to go over the budget and we need to look at these. And I'd be just like, oh, no, plugging my ears saying, I just don't want to know.
Yeah, then it causes a bit of argument saying, and I figured, Kylie goes to me later on, she goes, well, why didn't you tell me? I tried to, but you're not listening to me. And it's taken time to come together.
Yeah, but once you sit down and really realise where you've come from and what triggers you when people start talking about money, it can really open up a whole new world for you, because now, I mean, we normally have nice holidays every year.
Short breaks when we can.
Obviously haven't had holidays for a couple of years now. Yeah, so we have a nice little lifestyle now. We're able to help our boys. They're a bit older now, or older, 21 and 18. So we've been able to help them do a few things, which has really been important to us, and it's been part of our goals.
I think it is such an important conversation to have because, like you said, like you can come from such completely different backgrounds and have such different money mindsets, like growing up, that, yeah, when you do come together, it can be a real massive conflict within your relationship. So, Kylie, you kind of mentioned a bit about your background growing up initially. So, like, what was the thing for you that triggered a change within your money mindset?
So cliched. It was actually Anthony. And because I grew up in a household that was very controlling and manipulative, try and get that out. So once I met him and saw what a functional family unit looked like with his mum and dad and his brother and sisters, like it was eye-opening to me of how people actually behaved like in the real world, if that makes sense, because I'd only ever seen what I'd grown up with. And when I met Anthony, he already had an investment property and investments and things, and started talking to me about things that could happen if I started saving and if we started investing.
Which we did was the holiday.
And so we ended up going on a big European holiday together, and that's something, I think I was about 25, 20, no, I was about 27, 20, I can't remember. It was a while ago.
Mid to late 20s.
Yeah, whatever, yeah. But I'd always wanted to travel to Europe, and to me, I'd never thought I'd ever be able to save enough money or to be able to do that. So for me, that was like a lifelong dream, and it was like this guy's helped me achieve it. So, yeah, and he actually proposed in Paris on that trip.
Aww, romance.
I know.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't on the Eiffel Tower, by the way, either. So
it's better if you can just see the Eiffel Tower in the background.
Yeah.
The sky.
Yeah. He did it on the merry-go-round, on the carousel at Disneyland.
Yeah. Oh,
in Paris. Yeah, it was magical actually, because it was close to Christmas, and the sun was just like setting, so obviously it was winter over there, and
all the lights were all flickering.
We were going around on the individual horses, and he just actually, I almost ruined it, didn't I? He said, come here for a minute, I want to tell you something. And I was like, what? I thought he was going to like lick my ear or something stupid. And I leaned over, and he just like had this ring already in a box, and he just like popped it open. And did you actually say, will you marry me? I can't remember.
I think so. You
saw the ring.
And you just started crying. I think, was that a yes or no?
Actually, yeah, I remember. And he's like, is that yes? And I was like, yes. So then I got off crying, and then I can't speak French. So these people were looking at me, and I'm just like trying to say, I just got engaged. And they're like, what?
When you showed them the ring, then they realised.
Yeah. So, and then all these lights came on, and then like the Christmas winter parade started. It's like he almost timed it perfectly.
How beautiful.
Yeah. So, but back to the story. So, so I never thought that, I'd be able to go on this big, expensive holiday. And then, we got engaged, came back, and we just got stuck into paying off the house. So we moved into the property that he had, and we pretty much paid that off. Yeah. And started investing, and then we knocked that house down and built a new house, had the kids.
But at the same time, during that time, we just, with Kylie's background, just shopping all the time, and I was saving, I was trying to save, and we would have those, arguments and disagreements. And it's just a matter of understanding from where we come from, our background, so sort of understanding what money's all about. And I think that's where Kylie, over time, has definitely improved. It's changed, not spending as much. Now we are saving. We've gone on several holidays. We've got several investments.
I love how he says not spending as much and looks at me.
It's not, but, saving is not about...
Life's to be enjoyed.
Exactly. That's what I tell clients is, we have some younger clients, and I say, you got to set yourself some financial goals. It's not about sacrificing your lifestyle, what you want now. It's just getting the right balance. It's just about thinking about putting money away for a rainy day. Obviously, with COVID, we've started to get more inquiries because people realise now when they haven't got a job to go to, they've got nothing to fall back on. So that's really a big thing that we're finding now.
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of new inquiries coming in from younger couples, which is fantastic. And they just need a little bit of direction. They might not be ready for investing or, for getting suit, or they might not just be ready to jump in and start investing and that go down that road. But they want to know more. They want some information. They want to know if they're on the right track. They want to know where to start. They want to understand their superannuation. They want to understand all about debt, how that can affect you. And
but I think also there's the percentage of the couples that come to us like that is very low. And I think the biggest issue is people don't know how to talk about money, especially in a new relationship. It's hard enough, different backgrounds, everybody's got their own goals. What my thoughts are mine, and I'm thinking, well, that's what I think Kylie believes in my thoughts, but actually they're not, because we need to understand each other's goals, your personal and financial goals, and have a common goal together as well, because that's what's going to make a relationship be more successful.
Yeah, that's right. So, and it doesn't matter if you've got different money personalities, because I'm a spender and he's a saver. So, we've proved that can actually work, and you can actually work through that. So, and happy to admit that I did have a problem with shopping. I was one of those ones that needed that doormat hide parcels from husband. So, but I don't recommend people do that now, because I've seen the friction and the arguments that it can cause. But full disclosure, I have a budget now for shopping. So
you're allowed to spend what's in that budget.
Exactly. So if it's within
spending's plan.
Exactly. So if it's within the budget, then it's okay. But we've worked ourselves into a place where I can have that disposable, income budget to be able to buy whatever I want. So it's important that people realise that just because someone's chapter 5 looks like that, your chapter 1 is going to look very different if you're starting. And I think too, with a lot of Instagram influencers and everything these days, people see, we're visual, so we see and we think that people are doing well, but in actual fact, they could be up to their eyeballs in debt. So don't always believe, what you see.
Yeah, I often think that. Kylie, I'm really curious. You mentioned that you had some mindset stuff around thinking that it was us versus them in terms of having money and not having money, and that people who had money, that was not something to aspire to, but something that was shameful or dirty. Or how did you start to shift that mindset piece so that you could step away from feeling poor or being poor?
That's really interesting, because a lot of it was to do with the language that was used in the household where I grew up. And as I got older, I got more courage to cut those people in my life out. So I just, it's still really hard to talk about, because cutting people out of your life is not an easy thing to do. But I think for your own mental health and for your own benefit, that sometimes it just needs to be done. So I just got very good at distancing myself and trying to end conversations with people if I was having them when they started to get negative. But it's like a muscle. You need to train it. It takes a really long time to be able to do that. Also, surrounding myself with positive people. So obviously going out with Anthony, his family were all positive and go-getters. And so we started to make friends that were also the same, positive go-getters, kind of saving and coming from that kind of world. So I think surrounding myself with people like that as well really helped. Yeah, but and honestly, I just turned 50 years old. So it's taken me all this time to be able to actually openly admit that and tell people that I grew up in housing commission and to start talking about money. So it does take a long time, but yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your truth and your
That's right.
honesty and your story. And I think, like you just said there, there's power in owning that story and that honesty, because as soon as you own it and you take full ownership and responsibility for the experiences that you had, you can help more people, because you can say, look where I was and look where I am now, and this is how I did it. Whereas if you don't acknowledge that starting point, people only see where you are now.
Yeah, exactly. And people need to know that, because there's people out there that are like me and that come from bad places. So they need to know that you can do well. I mean, not everybody has to be Jeff Bezos or...
Yeah. But start disassembling the shame around like where you come from and the money attitudes that you had and what you did or didn't have as you were growing up. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think, like, those money beliefs can be so subtle too. Like, if you hear your parents or your family talk about other people who have things that you and your family don't have, whether or not it's like your neighbors are going on holidays or they got a new car, or the language that's surrounded that is sometimes like jealousy, or even things like, money, those offhand comments are like, money doesn't grow on trees. And then all of a sudden you've got a belief that money's really hard to get.
Yeah. I heard that all the time. Money doesn't grow on trees, or things like, we can't afford that, or what do you want to do that for? So I wanted to be, I wanted to go to NIDA. I wanted to be on the screen. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to go to Hollywood. So that's what I wanted to do. And it was always like, but you'll never be able to do that. What do you want to do that for? That's stupid. What, you want to go and move all the way to Hollywood? So, just when you get told those things enough, you start to believe them. So that's what we've always said to our kids. You put your mind to something, you can do whatever you want. So, and I think I never really wanted to have kids for that reason, because I didn't want to repeat that relationship that I had. So I was very mindful when we had kids that we use positive language around them and that we encourage them. And
I think it's all about setting goals. Yeah, whether it's for lifestyle goals, financial, everybody must have a goal, because if you don't have a goal, you just going to end up nowhere. Time will go past, years will fly past, and you look back and think, what have I done? You're almost in the same position, and you need to get away from that. And I think that's what we tell our boys as well. Our children is to start thinking about. It's not about big dreams. It's just small little goals. It could be for the next 12 months, 6 months, or 2 or 3 years, or whatever the case may be. If you've got something to work towards, it's like Kylie. I remember one time she said to me, she didn't save money. I said, well, she goes, if you give me something to save for, I'll save. And it's like, I will save for a holiday. And by all means, we've done it. And that's having that simple thing, just to set yourself a goal, can help achieve it.
Yeah, it is such a massive driver to actually get you to do something, isn't it? Because it'll be the day that you sign up for a marathon that you'll start training, and you'll train every single day. It's
exactly.
Once you've actually set that goal and put a timeline on it too, I think that's a really important piece, is to put the timeline on it, because you could just say... Yeah,
the timeline's really important, And it has to be realistic too, because I've had clients say, I want to buy a property in 3 years' time. I said, nice goal, but it's unrealistic. You need to look at stepping back and look and making your goals shorter, or what you want to achieve over a different time. It's like saying to me, my boss said to me, you need to get $10 million worth of sales. This was years ago. I think $10 million is a lot of money. But if you break it down to months or weeks, it's not as huge. And you're thinking, that's achievable. And then you start your way up.
Yeah. Kind of liken it to, so if you're going somewhere new, like you're going to a party or something and it's across town, you don't just get in your car and drive. Like, you plan it. You look at the maps. You see how long it's going to take you. You try and anticipate the traffic at that time of day. You think, am I going to drink? Am I going to be able to drive? Do I get an Uber? What am I? So, you set your navman. So it's the same thing with goals in your life. You kind of want to set where you're going. You're going to get there quicker if you set the navman. But if you just get in the car and just drive around in circles, it's going to take you a long time, and you're going to get frustrated and not know where you're going. So if you set a firm goal, something that you can achieve, and maybe set little goals along the way and reward yourself, then, you're on the road to success.
I know that our goals and relationship towards money has changed quite a lot. And so Nathan and I grew up in South Australia, and we moved to Sydney in 2014, I think it was. And we've never had trouble saving money for holidays or travel or experiences at all. Like, we can do that, no worries. But living in Sydney, we found it incredibly difficult to feel the slightest bit motivated to try and save that deposit, because property is median of $1 million, and to save 20% of that is a lot of money. And then you still see people who have got that money, they've got the deposit, and they're hitting the pavement and they're looking at shithole after shithole after shithole that has $1 million plus price tag on it. You go, am I really going to spend this money on this thing? So I think for Nathan and I, that's been a real challenge, is like the goal doesn't feel inspiring. It doesn't feel.
And so in turn, we've really struggled to actually
apply ourselves to that.
Yeah.
And instead we've gone on more holidays.
Yeah. But in saying that's, where people who do have those goals and they say can't afford it, obviously Sydney's very expensive to most of the other regions. So this is where we sit down and talk to clients. So, what about buying a property out of the area? Getting yourself in a property market, because everybody sees that, as a stable investment. It's just about setting your goals, what you want to achieve. And if you can get there, taking small steps to achieve that, you could end up getting that $1 million house, whatever. It might take you longer than you anticipate. But at least if you've got that dream still, then that's the most important thing. But you got to work towards it. So you might have to do some hard work along the way, do a bit of a detour to get to that point. Because obviously, if you focus on what you want, you may not get it. And you might feel bad and you think, I'll forget about it. I'll just spend my money. It becomes a negative reaction. So you need to look at that. And as Kylie said, you've got to reward yourselves. That's one thing I tell my clients is reward yourself along the way, because if you do that, because you have pleasure in saving as well. It's not just about saving and not living your life. You got to get that right balance, but reward yourself and feel proud about it.
Says the man that never buys any new shoes. I've got enough shoes.
This is why he needs you, Kylie, to balance that out.
It's all about balance.
Yeah. So if we can, I'd love to change direction a little bit and know a little bit more about your relationship. You've been married for how long now?
23
years.
What were you going to say?
27. No.
27.
Rounding up.
That's how long we've been going.
That's how long it feels like, maybe.
23. Shackles off.
So 23 years, 2+ decades is quite some time to be married.
It is.
I would love to know, what are some of the habits or practices that you've got in your relationship to keep it fueled up and thriving and healthy and happy?
Okay, so not going to lie, when our kids were younger, it was hard to have time together. I mean, we did have holidays and things with the kids, but when your kids are young, it's hard yards, But as they started to get older, it's gotten a lot better. But we've always been really great at having date nights, making time for ourselves. Anthony loves scuba diving. I love walking around shops and things like that. He goes bike riding now. So we're really good at setting time for our own individual things, but also really good at, we are excellent at date nights.
Yeah, date nights are good.
We are excellent at date nights. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. And we don't always spend a lot of money. Like one night it was a really nice I can't remember. It was a nice afternoon. There's a fish and chip shop down the road and we have lots of nice parks where we live. And I'm like, come on, babe, we're going on date night tonight. So I packed a beer and a little bottle of wine for me and the little picnic basket and the rug, and we just grabbed fish and chips and sat in the park and watched all the other families playing while we had fish and chips. I think it cost $20 or something. Yeah. Or trying Saturday mornings, our thing is we'll go and have brunch together. We go and have a coffee and we'll do some grocery shopping or...
Yeah, just do little things and just having those, because Kylie does most of the time, like, let's just do this, let's do that. She does more of things like that than I do because I'm more working conscious. But I think having, as I say, opposites attract. So it's really important to have that. And sometimes I might say, okay, well, let's go away for the weekend. Yeah, out of the blue. She goes,
and I'll be like, beauty, what's the budget? Where are we going? Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, just having those short breaks. It doesn't have to be big holidays, particularly now in October, but just having short breaks just for one night away. It could be just going to the movies or to the dinner. Whatever the case may be, just time for yourselves is really, really important.
Yeah. I mean, we go on lots of nice long drives as well. So, we'll sort of say, let's go up to the Blue Mountains today, or we'll go for a drive out to Manly, or, we'll just walk along the Corso, or, just don't even have to spend any money. It's just a tank of petrol or whatever. Yeah, just doing different little things.
I think that's so important. I really like that you mentioned like the little nights away and that they don't have to be like really big things. But yeah, I find that when Nathan and I make conscious effort to do that and to get out of our environment, the quality of conversation that we have is really different. And, you know, new environment, you're not then tempted to like, oh, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to pop on some washing, or I'm just going to, you know, unpack, repack the dishwasher. Or I'm just going to quickly like pull. You don't do those things because you're
so many
fully,
less distractions.
Yeah, fully present.
Yeah.
Even if you are just in a hotel room or in an Airbnb or whatever, it is a totally different vibe, and it's so worth the investment. Sometimes it can feel like, oh, should we really be spending that money? But if you don't invest in your relationship, what is the hard work for? Like,
exactly.
You want to be standing at the end of it with that person.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think, as you said, Sammy, with the distractions, when you're at home, there's a lot of distractions. So you lose that quality time. So that's why we go, let's go for a drive. Yes, sure, there'll be some washing to be done, but hell, you know, that could wait another day. Let's make the most of it. You get out there and you feel re-energized again, and you have a bit of a laugh, and maybe just coffee, a bit of a lunch. It doesn't have to be a lot of money to enjoy just the simple things in life.
Yeah. I mean, and, you know, one of the things that we've done as well all through our marriage is we don't go to bed angry. Like if we ever, like everybody argues, right? But it's really funny because as you've been together longer, your arguments evolve. So when we're first married and, when you're first married, they can be kind of.
I had no problems.
But the arguments were kind of like you'd get really angry and like you'd feel like really frustrated. But now when we argue, it's kind of like because you have habits, right? And so the same, you know, I'll rant about the same thing all the time. And then so I'll be ranting and then he'll have this look on his face and I'll look at him and I'll just laugh and go, okay, all right, yep, I'm doing it again. So your arguments evolve and then they become not really arguments because you end up laughing at each other through it. So, and I think, we've just had a rule never to go to bed angry with each other. So to always, even if you haven't resolved something, to just agree to disagree and then deal with it again after you've had a good night's sleep and had time to sleep on it, kind of thing.
Yeah. That was one of the first things that when we went for marriage preparation, they told us that don't go to bed angry.
Because Anthony, from the Catholic Church, we went to this marriage preparation because we wanted to get married in church. They recommended it. So that's one of the things. But it was really lovely because it was an older couple at the church that were running it and they'd been married for about 40 years or something. So, and so it was really, and that was one of their tips. Yeah, that was one of their tips is not to go to bed angry with each other, and that served us well.
Yeah, I love that.
That's great. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. We know that you've got a course coming out very soon to support couples to have some of these conversations. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So based on our work, so we want to start the conversation with couples. So it'll be helping them unpack their money stories, looking at different money personalities, what happens when the opposites attract, getting them to set some budgets and to have budget date nights together, to sit down and actually allocate some time away from kids if they've got them, to just talk about their goals, dreams, what they want to achieve, and then to get down and dirty with the numbers and have a look at them and figure things out. And then right through to giving them some education on their superannuation and investing, and got some special guests coming along as well. But the ultimate goal is to start conversations with couples about money because it's been a taboo subject for too long and it needs to stop. We need to get out there and get out. And the sooner you start that conversation, the better. I mean, I think you should start it possibly as soon as you realise that person's getting serious, because if that's potentially who you think is your life partner, you want to know if they've got any sexually transmitted debt or anything. Like, you need to know everything. You've got to know.
Yeah.
And we've heard some horror stories about people getting married and their partners had debt and then they've taken on that debt. Like, it can be disastrous. So if you know that up front, you can make a conscious decision about if you want to spend the rest of your life with that person. So that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. We've talked a lot about being the change and taking accountability and designing the life that you really want to live both now and in the future. But Nathan and I also want to talk about being the change that we want to see in the world. So to say thank you, we've supported a beach cleanup project so that they can collect 1 kilo of coastal plastic and trash in Indonesia. So thank you so much for joining us and allowing us to do that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Kylie and Anthony, if people want to connect with you or learn a little bit more about what you do, how should they do that?
Okay, they can go to our website. So it is obviously www.Creo Wealth. So that's CREO Wealth, WEALTH.com.au. They can join the waitlist for the course on there. There's the little tabs at the top, so they can do that. I'm on Instagram, and the handle is at Creo Wealth.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks heaps for joining us. If you love what we're doing here and want more, subscribe to the Date Forever podcast to make sure you never miss an ep. Come and hang out with us and other awesome couples who are fueling up their relationships in the Thriving Couples Collective Facebook group, or check us out at future.Collective.com.au. Until next time, keep on dating, because better relationships equal a better world.